Good day, beautiful friends, beautiful soul, wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining us again and again. It is a deep happiness for me, especially today, that you allocate your time to join our guided meditation. As I told you before, this morning there was a 1 hour guided meditation. This time, 12 o'clock Bali time, we are going to do the second guided meditation again. And I will share to you the summary of my last presentation, October the 12th, in the time of contemplating Bali terrorist bombing. By the time we are waiting for thousands of our beautiful friends joining our guided meditation in the next few minutes, let me refresh your memory for the two bonus that I gave you this morning. This morning I shared to you the two bonus because I did not promised to you previously. First of all, is about the healing and the peace model of spiritual family of compassion. We in spiritual family of compassion have developed the healing and the peace model of meditation. Whether you meditate or not, whether you practice yoga or not, whether you believe in religion or not, life keeps flowing from one day to another day, from 1 month to another month, from 1 year to another year. No one can stop it. Life can keep flowing from year to year. You know, in the periphery of the wheel, here in the periphery of the wheel, the picture is the crying eyes, the symbol of suffering soul. All suffering souls are growing in the periphery of the wheel, in the periphery of the wheel. And as you all know, in the periphery of the wheel, life is full of chaos, full of problems, because as you can see, life keeps growing from month to month, year to year, and in the periphery of the wheel, life is very chaotic. One of the most important characteristics of suffering soul, they keep blaming, they keep complaining, and they keep protesting. That is the most important characteristic of suffering soul who grow in the periphery of the wheel. Like the picture of crying eyes. To some of the suffering soul who want to grow and glow, at least you can, if you want to heal yourself, learn to step from the periphery of the wheel into the center of the wheel. While in the periphery of the wheel, life is chaotic, full of conflict and problems. In the center of the wheel, there is no conflict, there is no problem, there is only peace. So what I keep suggesting in guided meditation, especially through the message of taking a perfect rest in this moment as it is, resting the mind in the gap between two breaths. By keep smiling, I am suggesting to all of you to leave behind the periphery of the wheel, leave behind the periphery of the wheel, and approaching the center of the wheel. There are 3 steps: leaving behind the periphery of the wheel to the center of the wheel. Accept, flow, and smile. If you need 3 messages, the first one is accept, the second one is flow, the third one is smile. Accept, flow, and smile. Accept, flow, and smile. 3 messages. If you need only one word, the word that brings you to the center of periphery is rest. Rest. So that's why I keep whispering to all of you in guided meditation. The innermost core of meditation is resting the mind. As soon as you rest the mind, you're beginning to grow in the center of the periphery, where there is no conflict, there is no chaos. While in the periphery of the will, there are a lot of conflict. In the periphery of the will, suffering soul keep complaining, blaming, protesting. But in the center of the will, no complaining, no blaming, no protesting. You are deeply equipped by the deep understanding that everything is the dancings of the same perfection. That is the difference. While in here, a lot of protest, critic, and conflict. In here, in the center, no protest, no conflict, no blaming. Because everything is the dancings of the same perfection. Your only friend here in the center of the will, your only friend is silence and smile. Silence is your left wing, smile is your right wings. It is like a couple wings of the same bird. That is the model of healing that we develop already in the spiritual family of compassion for more than 10 years. Please leave behind the periphery of the will. Leave behind the periphery of the will. Please remember, accept, flow, smile. If you need 3 steps, the step is accept, flow, and smile. If you want only 1 step, the only step is rest. Rest. In the center of the will, there is no conflict, there is no blaming, there is no protesting. Your only friend is silence and smile. That is the model of healing and the model of meditation that we developed since more than 10 years ago in the spiritual family of compassion. Remember, leave behind the periphery of the will, entering the center of the will. If you need 3 steps, accept, flow, smile. If you need only 1 step, the only step is rest. In the center of the will, your only friend is silence and smile. Hopefully, it can bring beautiful candle to the darkness of your soul. As a person who is no longer young, I will share to you this approach is very helping. This approach is improve, heal some of my soul wound, help me grow and glow. Hopefully it can help you to grow and glow as well. That is the first bonus for today. The second bonus, I borrowed the picture of the Sand people. The picture originally come from the people of Zen in Japan, but the interpretations of this picture different from time to time, different from one master to another master. Let me give you the second bonus of today. This is the first picture, and this picture I keep it already for more than 10 years here in Ashram. The first chapter about the will, I told you very often, but this chapter I shared it in social media live for the first time today. The first chapter in the spiritual journey, almost all people begin by keep questioning, what happened to my life? What wrong with me? What mistakes that I committed in the past? Why I was born here on earth? Where I am going to go after die? There is a lot of questions that most people asking at the beginning. A person who keep asking. For that reason, many people who read Holy Scripture, countless students meeting the Holy Guru, countless, not only many, but countless students meeting the Holy Guru, some allocating countless time in meditation, some others practice yoga, prayers, a lot of things. That is the beginning of the journey. You are guided by problems, you are guided by question, you are guided by something missing inside. There is something missing inside that make you asking and searching. That is the first picture. The second picture, as soon as you read a lot of holy books, as soon as you practice meditation, yoga, prayer, meeting the Holy Guru, you will come to this stage. The most important thing is not reading Holy Scripture, not listening to the Holy Guru, but disciplining our body, mind, and spirit. The cow is the symbol of body, mind, and spirit. Without disciplining the body, mind, and spirit, the soul journey will never go far. If you only read Holy Scripture, for example, you only know the teaching in the head. Intellect, as you all know, is a small boat. Intellect is a very small boat. While the oceans of samsara that we are crossing together is a huge ocean. It is impossible to cross the huge oceans of samsara if you use only the small boat of intellect. Again, if you read Holy Scripture only, it is far from enough. If you only listen to the teaching of the Holy Guru, it is far from enough. You should go to the second step, disciplining the body, mind, and spirit. What I did more than 30 years ago, I was vegetarian for more than 10 years. I spent more than 10 years fasting. I spent more than 10 years living completely alone in the silence of the forest. The reason is learning to discipline the body, mind, and spirit. Because without disciplining body, mind, and spirit, you will only understand in the level of intellect. Intellect is a small boat, while the oceans of samsara is a huge ocean. For that reason, come to the second stage. It is not enough reading the Holy Scripture. It is not enough listening to the Holy Guru. You should go deeper by disciplining the body, the mind, and spirit. Fasting is one of the examples. Being vegetarian is another example. Meditation, yoga, and another spiritual practice. The most important thing is disciplining the body, mind, and spirit. Disciplining body, mind, and spirit is like senior high school, a requirement to entering the undergraduate in the university. The second step, sadly speaking, this is a sad story. I have been meeting thousands of students, they just stuck in the first level. They just reading Holy Scripture. They feel enough by understanding intellectually. It is far from enough. Sadly speaking, many students do not want to come to this stage because this stage is very difficult. Fasting is difficult. Being vegetarian is difficult. Taking a distance from any kind of desire, especially sexual desire, it is very difficult. But no other choice. If you want to grow and glow, you should come to the second stage, disciplining body, mind, and spirit. The most important reason why I can be like this, not saying good or better, because I spent more than 10 years in my beautiful time fasting, being vegetarian, spending time completely alone in the silence of the forest. It is about disciplining body, mind, and spirit. The second stage, sadly speaking, very few of the people who can pass through second stage. Intellectual understanding is far from enough. Reading Holy Scripture, it is far from enough. Listening to the Holy Guru, it is far from enough. In order to make the teaching perfectly embodied within your soul, you should come into the second stage, disciplining body, mind, and spirit. And I personally spend more than 10 years of personal experience, my personal spiritual journey in this second stage, more than 10 years, not only in Bali but also in Jakarta. Fasting, being vegetarian, spending years of time in solitude, completely alone in the silence of the forest, sometimes meeting scary animals, sometimes meeting snakes without head. A lot of scary things happen in the forest, but nothing happened because I'm sincerely disciplining my body, mind, and spirit. In short, the second stage, which is very important, is the step of embodying the teaching. To make the teaching perfectly embodied, not only resting in the intellectual stage of the brain, which is a very small boat. That is the second picture. After disciplining body and mind, spirit, you are now the rider. Like the car, you are now the driver. Before this stage, the body, mind, and spirit is the driver. In the third stage, you are now the driver. What I personally experienced through my personal spiritual journey, after more than 10 years of fasting, more than 10 years of being vegetarian, more than 10 years spending personal time in complete solitude in the forest, slow but sure, I become the driver of my body and mind and spirit, the driver. One of the important characteristics which telling that you are now the driver, you can take the distance to any kind of desire. You can say no to the sugar. You can say no to sexual misconduct. You can say no to any kind of negative energy inside you, because you are now the master. In the third picture, you bring the cow back home. In the previous stage, the cow is the master. The body, the mind, the spirit are your master. Now in the third stage, you are the master. You are now the rider. You are now the driver. It is easier to talk, but it is far from easier to practice it, because the most difficult stage is the second one, in the stage of disciplining the body, mind, and spirit. But as soon as you pass through disciplining the body, mind, and spirit, you are now the driver. You bring your body, mind, spirit back home. What is home? The home is answered in the fourth picture. The fourth picture. This is the pictures of the person who arrived home already. As the natural natures of water which is wet, the natural natures of flower which is beautiful, the natural natures of soul who has arrived home, they love to pray, praying for the happiness of all beings. It is something natural. You are not forced by Holy Scripture. You are not punished by hell and heaven. No, no. It is your natural nature. Let me repeat once again. As the natural natures of water which is wet, the natural natures of flower which is beautiful, the natural nature of soul who has arrived home, they love to pray. They keep praying for the happiness of all beings, for the happiness of lower, middle, and upper realms. That is the fourth picture, sharing the idea about the soul who has arrived home. The last picture is the most beautiful picture. You may call it silence. You may call it emptiness. In Buddhism, it is called wisdom. But wisdom cannot be separated with compassion. The passive aspect of enlightenment is wisdom, but the active aspect of enlightenment is compassion. You cannot separate water with wet. You cannot separate flower with beautiful. In the same way, you cannot separate wisdom and compassion. The symbol of enlightenment. In Eastern philosophy, it is called mandala. Mandala means perfection. But to my Balinese friends, this is called Sangyangembang, the name of the god to the Balinese elder. Sangyangembang means the ultimate silence. In the Balinese language, wisdom is called as Nyepi Lan Ngawindu. That's why the name of our New Year here in Bali is Silence Day. The original language is Nyepi Lan Ngawindu. The wisdom aspect, the silence aspect of enlightenment. The active aspect of enlightenment in English called compassion. In Bali language, it is called Urip Lan Nguripi. To live in order to serve the others. Urip Lan Nguripi. That is the symbol of enlightenment. One of a beautiful soul who was born in China, which is very clear and precise, explaining this picture. His name is Lao Tse. The message of Lao Tse is very beautiful, deep, and touching as well. Very beautiful, touching, and very bright as well. One who know, do not speak. One who speak, do not know. Extremely beautiful. The way Lao Tse explained this picture is extremely beautiful. One who know, do not speak. One who speak, do not know. It's beautiful. Because as soon as you speak something right, wrong will appear. As soon as you whisper beautiful, ugly will appear. As soon as you speak about the light, darkness will appear. So that's why I keep sharing to you, your most beautiful friend in spiritual journey, especially meditation. It is silence and smile. That is the two bonus that I shared today. Now we are going to do guided meditation. Hopefully these two bonus will enrich your spiritual and meditation journey. Now we are going to do guided meditation. My Holy Master, wherever you are, the living Guru, the Guru of Holy Scripture, the symbolical Guru and the secret Guru, let me be the source of my light. Let me be your humble servant. First of all, cross your leg in order to avoid downward movement of energy. Secondly, make your back and head straight but relaxed. Thirdly, your wings, make it as natural as possible. No need to make it too open, no need to make it too closed. The positions of your hand, make it calm and relaxed. The Hindus are suggested to do it like this, to release Sattvam, Rajas, Tamas, the good, the bad, the sad, the glad, just let it go until you meet silence, perfection, wisdom, nyepi lan ngawindu, sang yang ngembang, whatever you call it. To the Buddhists, you may come to the western direction like this. If your light come from the west, you see, here is the mudra following the Buddha Amitabha. If you are the students of Buddha Sakyamuni, here is the positions of your hand. It's totally up to you. People in other religion, you can position your hands according to the belief of your religion. Open your eyes a little bit in order to avoid the feeling of being sleepy. The rest, kindly allow me to be your own servant, guard, your own humble servant. Kindly allow me to be your own humble servant. In the more advanced level, to meditate is to take a perfect rest. Let me repeat once again. In the more advanced level, to meditate is to take a perfect rest. To put it more precisely, to take a perfect rest from any kind of critic and inner kind of conflict. Take a rest, beautiful soul, take a rest. Whatever the blessing of this moment, simply take a rest. The reason why I keep suggesting to you to take a perfect rest, because everything is the dancings of the same perfection. everything. Sad, glad, sorrow, joy, pain, pleasure, failure, success, blame, praise are all the dancings of the same perfection. Take rest, beautiful souls, take rest. Take rest from any kind of inner conflict and inner critics. To some of you who learn about energy, most of the energy draining come out from the human mind. Most of the energy draining in the human body come from the mind. And as soon as you rest the mind in this moment as it is, all the energy draining come out from the mind is totally stopped. Rest, beautiful soul, rest. Quoting from one of the holy scripture in the land of snow, Tibet, dry season does not reduce the amount of water in the universe. Raining season does not increase the amount of water in the universe. In the same way, sad, glad, pain, pleasure, sorrow, joy, blame, praise, failure, success, they do not decrease, they do not increase something. Take a perfect rest, beautiful soul, take a perfect rest. To put it more precisely, rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. Between in-breath and out-breath, between out-breath and in-breath, there is a gap less than 1 second. No need to prolong the breath, no need to shorten the breath. Simply feel the gap between two breaths. That is the practical way of resting the mind in this moment as it is. That is the practical way to rest the mind in this moment as it is. Feel the gap between two breaths. Bad mood, good mood can come and go. Use it as a holy bell to return back to the gap between two breaths. As we all know, in every cycle of the time, in every cycle of age, there is bad news and there is good news in every cycle of the time. But do not let bad news giving birth to the bad emotion. Do not let the good news giving birth to the good emotion. Simply resting the mind in the gap between two breaths. As dolphin beautifying the ocean by being dolphin, as butterfly beautifying the garden by being butterfly, you are beautifying the life by being yourself as you are. Rest in the gap between two breaths. Remember, birds are happy as birds. That's why they keep singing every day. Trees are peaceful as trees. In the same spirit, learn to be happy, learn to be peaceful as the way you are. Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. What happened to most of the suffering soul? They are the victim of the condition. Some of them the victim of losing the job, some of them the victim of economic slowdown. That is the suffering soul. They are the victim. On the path of meditation, we keep training ourselves no longer become the victim of the situation. We learn to become the master of the situation. How? Resting the mind in the gap between two breaths. You are not pain, pleasure. You are not sad, glad. You are now the witness. That is what I mean by no longer become a victim, but you are now a master. Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. You are the witness. One of the direct consequences of deep meditation, resting the mind in the gap between two breaths, your body is healthier, your mind is happier, and you can sleep much easier. Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. You are no longer the victim. You are now a master. Be the witness. Another characteristic that meditation go deeper and deeper, your mind getting wider, 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 until one day enlightenment make your mind explode inside. In the moment of enlightenment, your mind is as wide as space. On the journey toward enlightenment, remember, rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. You are now the master by witness. Like a couple of wings of the same birds, the left wing is silence, the right wing is smile. That is the beautiful wings of deep meditation. No need to think about something, no need to remember something, simply silence, which is the close friends of the smile. Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. Remember your couple of wings. Silence as left wings, smile as your right wings. Rest, beautiful soul, rest. As soon as you grow from victim to master, the mind can be easily peaceful. Emotion can be easily balanced. And the body can heal itself naturally. Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. Remember, you are no longer the victim, you are now the master by being the witness. In the ancient times, meditation healed and make you peaceful. It was only written in the Holy Scripture. But in our time, it has been widely researched in well-reputed universities in the world. The more you rest the mind in the gap between two breaths, the wave of your mind grows from beta to alpha. The beta is the wave of the brain in the ordinary condition. The alpha wave is much more peaceful. As soon as you grow deeper in the alpha wave, you will grow into the theta. The body is in the sleep condition, but the mind is awake. That is theta wave of the brain. If you are diligent, you can grow from theta to delta. Delta is the conditions of deep sleep. And enlightenment mostly happens in the deepest level of gamma. And the journey from beta, alpha, theta, delta, and gamma, you can use the technique of resting the mind in the gap between two breaths. You are no longer the victim, you are now the master by being the witness. That is the long path from beta, alpha, theta, delta, and gamma. In much more simple approach, whatever the blessing of this moment, from numbness until peace of mind, simply resting the mind in the gap between two breaths. In Ashram Avalokiteshvara, we hear the voice of the motorcycle in the long distance. Use it as a holy bell to return back to the gap between two breaths. Remember, you are no longer the victim, you are now the master by being the witness. Do not forget the couple wings of beautiful soul. The left wing is silence. No need to think. No need to raise the question. No need to look for the answer. Simply silence. That is the left wing. The right wing is smile. The combination between silence and smile that bring the soul going back to the ultimate home, the home of enlightenment. Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. You are no longer the victim, you are now the master by being the witness. to some of close disciples, I keep sharing this message from one year to another year. While birds are happy as birds, trees are peaceful as trees. Why most people are not happy and are not peaceful by being human beings? Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. You are no longer the victim, you are now the master by being the witness. Remember my previous message to you. Life is like the wheel. From year to year, from month to month, from day to day, life keeps flowing. It does not matter you pray or not, you meditate or not, life keeps flowing. At the edge of the wheel, life is full of suffering. But at the center of the wheel, there is no suffering, there is only peace. And the 3 steps living behind the edge of the wheel: accept, flow, smile. Touch the center of the wheel, where there is no conflict, there is no complaint, there is no protest. That is the center of the wheel. Live behind the edge of the wheel. Rest at the center. By resting the mind in the gap between two breaths, by being a master, by being a witness, leave behind all question, leave behind all the answer. Simply using a couple wings of the beautiful soul, silence and smile. That is a beautiful journey to be back home, to the home of peace, to the home of enlightenment. Combining silence and smile. Whatever happened on the journey, simply resting the mind in the gap between two breaths. Like the 5 pictures that I shared to you previously. Learn to become the driver of body, mind and spirit. You are now the driver who bring body, mind, spirit back home. How to be the driver of body, mind and spirit? Be the witness. Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. In the old path of meditation has been shared. As soon as there is duality, there is existence. As soon as there is existence, there is karma. The more you rest the mind in the gap between two breaths, the more you release yourself from any kind of karma. Rest the mind in the gap between two breaths. You are no longer the victim, you are now the master by being the witness. Accept, flow, smile, beautiful soul. That is the best way, living behind the edge of the wheel. Accept, flow, smile. Learn to approach the center of the wheel with silence and smile. In 2 words, silence and smile. In 1 word, rest. Rest the mind in the gap between 2 breaths. Your most important friend is smile. Without hot sunshine, the flower will never bloom. Without difficulty, soul will never bloom. Rest the mind in the gap between 2 breaths. You are now the master by being the witness. Without the blowing wind, the kite will never fly. Without difficulties, obstacles and problems, soul will never learn to fly. Rest the mind in the gap between 2 breaths. You are no longer a victim, you are now a master by being the witness. Where there is lotus, there is mud. Where there is happiness, there is sadness. The both cannot be separated. Rest the mind in the gap between 2 breaths. You are now the master by being the witness. Here in the ashram Avalokiteshvara, we hear the voice of motorcycle in the long distance. Use any voice, use any blessing of this moment as holy bell to return back to the gap between 2 breaths. Whatever the voice that you hear in your place, whatever experience that you have now, use it as holy bell to return back to the gap between 2 breaths. You are now the master by being the witness. In ashram Avalokiteshvara, we hear the bell of motorcycle, the horn. Use it as holy bell to return back to the gap between 2 breaths. You are now the master by being the witness. After spending long enough time resting the mind in the gap between 2 breaths, by being the witness, now learn to forgive especially because without forgiving, soul will never grow and glow. First of all, visualize a crying baby on your left hand. It is a symbol of bad memories and soul wounds that come from the past. It can be harmed by the divorced parents. It can be bullied by your friends in the school times. It can be hurted by your ex-boy or girlfriends. Call those soul wounds and bad memories from the past. Visualize them as a crying baby on your left hand. And the meditative approach of forgiving your soul wound by giving space without any resistance. Giving space without any resistance. That is the meditative approach to forgive yourself. Simply giving space without any resistance. Remember my previous message. Pain is like hidden angel, like what the hot sunshine does to the blooming flowers. All those pains from the past help your soul bloom. Now forgive yourself. Without the mud, there will be no lotus. Without bad memories and soul wound, you will not be interested in learning meditation. Forgive yourself by giving space to the bad memories of the past without any resistance. If you are unable to forgive, learn to forgive your inability to forgive. Remember, without blowing wind, the kite will never fly. Without those pain and bad memories, the soul will never able to fly. Forgive yourself by giving space to the bad memories without any resistance. After forgiving yourself, now learn to forgive someone who harmed you in the past. It can be your parent-in-law, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friends who bullied you in the school time. In order to make the rose of forgiving beautifully bloom within, now deeply contemplate. It was not violence. It was not violence which makes the others harm you. It was not violence, but it was soul wound. As you are wounded by your parent were also wounded by grandparent. The grandparent were also wounded by their parent. That is the chain of suffering in the samsaric realm. By sincerely forgive, you cut those chain of suffering. You cut those chain of suffering. No need to prolong those suffering. No need to inherit those suffering to your children and your grandchildren. forgive. It is not only you who are wounded, the person who wounded you also wounded even worse. Being equipped by such deep understanding, now visualize a crying baby on your left hand, giving rose of forgiving to the crying baby on your right hand. Let me quote the spiritual heritage of the late Nelson Mandela. Without forgiving, soul will bring portable prison wherever you go. Without forgiving, you will bring portable prison wherever you go. Visualize a crying baby on your left hand, giving beautiful rose of forgiving to the crying baby on your right hand. Forgiving does not change the past, but forgiving certainly changes the present into a much more peaceful way. Visualize crying baby on your left hand, giving rose of forgiving to the crying baby on your right hand. In order to perfect your soul journey, now call the white light of Father from the sky. Call the red light of Mother from earth. The white light of Father from the sky entering your crown chakra, resting in the fourth chakra of the heart. Call the red light of Mother from earth, entering the first chakra, also resting in the fourth chakra of the heart. Both white light of Father from the sky and red light of Mother from earth, giving birth to the light of love in the heart. Now visualize a pink light in your heart. It is the symbol of light of love located in your heart. To be your best healer, now share the light of love to every single cell of your body, especially the part of your body which is painful. If you often have headache, share the pink light of love to your head. If you have problem with your stomach, share the light of love to your stomach. That is the meditative way to heal yourself. Secondly, share the light of love to your friends, close families and relatives. Send all of them the light of love. Visualize they are all happy and smile because of the light of love that you send to all of them. Thirdly, send the light of love to your enemies, to the person who harmed you in the past. Visualize they are crying because of deeply suffer. And as a result of light of love that you send to those enemies, they are no longer crying, now they are smiling, giving deep thank you to your light of love. Last but not least, Share the light of love to the lower, middle, and upper realms. Sharing the light of love to hell, Satan, animal, plant, human beings, demigods, gods, Dharma protector, Arahat, and Bodhisattva. That is the way to make your love unlimited and unconditional. Share the light of love to the lower, middle, and upper realm. By the time you share the light of love to the lower, middle, and upper realm, let me singing the song of love from the beautiful island of love, Bali. This is the song of love from the beautiful island of love, Bali. Please keep sending light of love to the lower, middle, and upper realm. Putri Chaneng Ayu Ngi Chang Chaneng Yuma Me luas malu Kapakan belanja apang ada darang nasi. Life is like staying in the hotel. The guests keep coming and going. Sometimes sad, sometimes glad. Some day painful, the other day full of pleasure. Sometimes full of tears, sometimes full of smile. No matter who are the guests, keep smiling, beautiful soul, keep smiling. Me titiang iring nongos titiang juma sambilang mapun pun ajak titiang dadwe dimulih tiang gapin. Remember, beautiful soul, as the natural natures of water which is wet, the natural natures of flower which is beautiful, the natural natures of the soul who has arrived home, it is full of love. Now, as soon as you open your eyes, whisper deep into your soul the beautiful mantra Aham Prema, meaning I am love who is here to share love. Aham Prema, Aham Prema, Aham Prema. I am love who is here to share love. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, beautiful souls and smiling soul, because you let yourself to be served by the light which is flowing through me. This light does not belong to me. It's just flowing through me. Hopefully it can balance your emotion. It can make your mind peaceful, lower your stress and lower your depression if you are now in the state of depression. This evening, 6 o'clock p.m. Bali time, where we are going to discuss about transforming illness into wellness, a new topic to the spiritual family of compassion. The transformations from illness to wellness. As we all know, the challenges of our time is very challenging. The unemployment rate is the highest along the history. Billions of the people lost their job nowadays. The economic growth is slowing down everywhere. The statistic in certain country, which open the secret, the number of stress increase, depression increase, divorce rate increase, even suicide increase. For that reason, the topic of this evening session is very sexy. Transforming illness into wellness. If you have no time for wellness, as a matter of time you will be visited by illness. Illness can manifest in many forms. It can be unable to sleep. It can be angry. It can be stress or chronic disease. Before being visited by illness, now let's learn transforming illness into wellness. The core of the ideas is very simple. Illness begins with the I. Wellness begins with we. To put it more simpler, if you want to transform illness into wellness, learn to grow from the ego, the I, to the we. In the much more mature way, happiness means to make the others happy. That is one of the approach of transforming illness to wellness. Learn to be happy by making the others happy. Another approach from illness to wellness, every time you meet a person, please remember in your heart, every person that you meet are a blooming flower, and you are there to help them bloom, at least by sincerely listen. If you keep practicing like that, the first soul who is bloom is your own soul. That is the second approach, the transformation between illness into wellness. The another approach of transformation from illness to wellness, well, learn to use less the word I. Learn to use more using the word we. As I shared very often, the word you use can be the home you live. That is one of the beautiful conclusions in the field of psycholinguistics. Let me repeat once again. The words that you use can be the home that you live. Learn, use less the word I. Learn more to use the word we. Because when you speak the word like I or we, it is not only the message that you deliver outside, but also the message that you deliver to your own brain. When you say yes, when you say I, then the brain building the wall between you and the others. If I said I, me, meaning the brain make a conclusion, make the wall between yourself and the others. When you say we, the brain create a bridge between you and the others. The consequence is fundamentally different. It is not simple. The consequence is very fundamental. The words that you speak can be the home that you live. The word that you speak not only deliver message to the others, but also deliver message to the brain. When you use the word I, the brain create walls that separating you with the others. When you use the word we, the brain create a bridge that connecting you to the others. That is the topic of this evening, 6 p.m. Bali time. As conclusion, this is the model of healing and peace that we develop in the spiritual family of compassion. Life keeps flowing at the edge, if you like, at the periphery, at the edge of the wheel. Life is full of conflict and suffering. Because suffering souls tend to be complaining, blaming, and protesting. That's why the symbol is crying eyes. But at the center of the wheel, no conflict. There is only peace. If you like 3 steps, accept, flow, smile. 3 steps. If you love 2 steps, silence and smile. If you love 1 word, rest. That is the key bonus of today. The second bonus, remember, grow from the first stage. At the beginning, all people are full of problems, full of questions. Most people are starving for the answer. That is the first picture. That is the reason you love reading Holy Scripture. You love listening to the Holy Guru. But remember, intellect is a small boat, but the oceans of samsara is a huge ocean. It is impossible to cross the oceans of samsara by using the small boat of intellect. It is good to read Holy Scripture, but it is far from enough. It is good listening to the Holy Guru, but it is far from enough. Especially because understanding through intellect is like small boat, while the oceans of samsara is a huge ocean. For that reason, grow into the second picture. The second picture is disciplining yourself. Disciplining body, mind, and spirit. What I did at the first 10 years of my spiritual journey, I spending more than 10 years fasting, being vegetarian, more than 10 years spending time in the silence forest here in the village where I was born, disciplining the body, mind, and spirit. The people of Zen, using a beautiful analogy, no matter how clear the Holy Scripture is, how clear the explanations of Holy Teacher is, it is only finger pointing to the moon. And the finger pointing to the moon does not make you walk going back to the moon. Intellectual understanding is only finger pointing to the moon. But as soon as you discipline body, mind, and soul through fasting, meditating, yoga, being vegetarian, spending long enough time in the depth of solitude in the forest, you are beginning to discipline the body, mind, and soul. The cow, symbol of body, mind, and soul. While in the first and the second stage, you are the victim of body, mind, and spirit. In the third stage, you are now become the rider. If you like the car, you are now the driver. In the first, second stage, you are the victim. You are now the master. You bring body, mind, spirit back home. You can take a distance to any desire inside you, include sexual desire. You can take any distance to the desire of being famous, the desire to be better than the others. You can take a distance even to the distance to attain perfect enlightenment. That is part of the desire as well. You bring the body, mind, spirit back home. That is number 3. Number 4, the soul arrives back home. As the natural natures of the water which is wet, the natural natures of flower which is beautiful, the natural natures of soul who has been back home, they love to pray. To put it precisely, to pray for the happiness and the welfare of all beings. Number 4. To the commoner, praying is some kind of obligation. Most of the people pray because they are afraid of hell and they are starving of heaven. But in this stage, prayer nothing to do with hell and heaven. Prayer is your natural natures of your soul. Number 5 and the last one, it is silence and smile. According to Balinese elder, the passive aspect of enlightenment is called Nyepi Lan Ngewindu. The active sides of enlightenment is Urip Lan Nguripi. In Buddhism, the passive sides of enlightenment is wisdom. The active sides of enlightenment is compassion. As you cannot separate between water and wet, you cannot separate between flower and beautiful. You cannot separate between wisdom and compassion. You cannot separate between Nyepi Lan Ngewindu, in the terminology of Balinese elder, with Urip Lan Nguripi. Silence. In the Eastern philosophy, it is called mandala, meaning perfection. That is the summary of my 2 bonus today. It is very rare that I give you bonus. Usually I illness into wellness. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.